There you go. This is Frank, and I'm going to be your host this afternoon, again for Lunch with the Leaders. Please mute yourself to avoid and to avoid embarrassing moments. Make sure your camera is off. We don't want to see you
when I start to get on the
no
other
one
way.
is looking. And then when you come on, make sure you mute yourself. If you're on a phone, hit *6. If you're on a computer, just hit the microphone and mute yourself.
Well, it's going to get 6.
All right, I don't know who's talking, but I'm recording the whole world. What you're saying. All right, so let's go ahead and get this thing started. What we're going to talk about today is our 100% CLTV program. So what if there was a way that every real estate investor could be approved 100% CLTV? And what if somebody's not muted, and what if they found that the deal of the century, which comes along about every week, and they were guaranteed to be approved? They could get it 100% funded. What if they could also get 100% of the rehab cost funded? And what if they could get the marketing money to advertise the property in an upscale magazine like Homes and Gardens and get the absolute highest dollar for it?
Wow.
Real estate investor who's still not muted, the real estate investor would think they had died and went to real estate heaven. Introducing Easy Financial Group's LLC's exclusive 100% CLTV program. Everyone gets approved for the 100% CLTV program. That means if you submit an application and you've checked with your underwriter and the application is accurate and good, your client will be approved 100% of the time. That's what that means. So get with your underwriter, do a Google search for RIA groups in your area. Call them, ask the above what-if questions, what I just went through. Go through those questions and ask them, the RIA groups, ask them if those questions that I said, we call them the what-if questions. Ask them the what-if questions, and then set an appointment to talk before their next meeting. Do the same with real estate agencies. Every real estate agency has either a weekly or a monthly meeting, and all of the real estate agents are required to be at that meeting. You should try to get yourselves in front of every real estate company in your area and present this program to every one of them. Every single real estate agency in your area has people who can qualify for this 100% CLTV program. Then set an appointment to talk before their next meeting as well. The real estate agents, the RIA groups, agencies, all of those, anybody that has anything to do with real estate, you need to be making presentations to these people. We have something that nobody else is offering in the whole entire industry. You have no competition whatsoever. So, are there any questions so far?
Well, Frank, does somebody with a low credit score get approved?
Yes, even if you have a low credit score, under 500 FICO,
Wow.
under 350 FICO, you'll get approved. Any other questions?
Well, what if your borrower doesn't have any bank statements?
No bank statements are required for this 100% CLTV program. Nobody has to produce a bank statement.
So you're trying to tell me a buyer with no income verification could qualify?
Yes, we don't even have to check with his employer. We don't have to find out if he's employed.
We got hot program. What's the catch, Mario? What's the catch?
What?
Somebody's
got to get
muted. Someone needs to mute themselves, especially if they're going to have a private conversation. Any other questions about this, please? Alice, do you have any questions?
No, Frank.
So I got a couple more questions.
Okay.
About taxes. What if they can't show 3 years of taxes? Like me, I don't have to pay because I'm on Social Security.
Okay. There are no tax documents required with almost every other any other loan of any kind. You have to produce 2 to 3 years of taxes. With this program, you don't need to produce any taxes.
Really?
Really.
Wow. What about foreclosures in the past?
Okay, if you've had a foreclosure, it's okay. We don't care if you've had a foreclosure previously. We're going to go ahead and get you funded anyway.
Even a bankruptcy?
Even if you had a bankruptcy and it's either been paid off, which is called discharged, or dismissed, if you didn't pay it off, we're going to go ahead and fund you.
Now this is amazing.
It is
Hey,
amazing.
Frank, this is Jeff. Does that mean that anybody of legal age that is also a citizen can use this program, or can a foreigner also use it on property in the United States?
That's a great question. You always have great questions, Jeff. I believe that the answer is if he's a foreigner in the United States and he has the right to be here, he would be able, or he or she would be able to get funded. Even if they have, now what you just brought up, Jeff, is a really good question, because if they're a foreigner and they're like a permanent resident alien, or if they're just an alien, they more than likely are not going to have a credit score at all, and they're still going to qualify.
Wow.
Any other questions?
So if I purchased a property using the CLTV program, do I have the right to resell it? And if so, how soon?
The answer is absolutely, you have the right to resell it. And
Do I have to wait 30 days or something like that?
You want to make, well, no, I'm going to tell you the whole answer. So you want to make sure that you get together with your underwriter, your dedicated underwriter, to make sure the deal is structured correctly, accurately, and there is a between 3 to 6 month prepayment penalty. So you either have to hold it for 3 to 6 months or sell it for enough profit that you can pay 3 to 6 months worth of interest-only payments. This is an interest-only loan, and it's good for 12 to 24 months. And then after the 12 to 24 months, it will revert into a permanent loan for a 30-year fixed or a 30-year variable rate loan, whichever you prefer.
And I also assume that means I can become eligible to receive another loan, hopefully from Easy Finance, to do rehabbing if required.
Absolutely. The answer is yes, absolutely to that. And now that loan may require qualifications. It would all depend. There is another way of doing it other than asking for a second loan. And the way to do it is the seller of the property is going to have a pile of money in his hand. And so you may ask the seller to front you the money that you need to rehab the property. Now, the seller may not have, before they sold the property, may not have had the money to rehab the property. Maybe that's the reason why they're selling it at a distressed sale. But now they're going to have the money, and they may be willing to allow you to do whatever is necessary to fix it up, rehab it. And then sell it for a much, much higher price because it will be in a much better condition.
So one more question, Frank. What type of property would not qualify?
A property that was under $300,000. We want 300,000 to several million. We like commercial properties. We like a residential property if it was a non-owner occupied. An owner occupied property would not qualify. And a property that maybe was a mansion, a single family home that was a mansion, that was $1 million property, that would qualify as long as the people weren't living in the property. And there's a little bit of a gray area, and that is the bed and breakfast crowd. There's a bunch of bed and breakfasts popping up all over the country, and that is a great, great investment opportunity. And if you can prove that you're only living in a very small portion of the house, and your bed and breakfast crowd are taking up 60% of the house, 60 to 75% of the house, then that person may qualify. That's a may, that's not an absolute.
Well, Frank, I've got a couple more questions. What about someone that wants to buy more than one property at a time?
With us, with Easy Financial, that's no problem at all. They can
Okay.
buy multiple properties.
Okay. And what about something like a trailer park?
The trailer itself would not qualify.
No, this would be a whole park.
The
fully
trailer
rented.
park absolutely will qualify.
Okay.
Actually, we love trailer parks.
All right, got one of those in the works. And I know, there's some other weird things. You said the bed and breakfast. What other unusual things do you think might come up that we could get qualified?
What about an assisted
Well,
living?
before we go on, I want to remind Jeff Schwartz that, Jeff, you had a trailer park that we couldn't do anything with a while back. It's time to contact those people again and say, guess what? We have a solution for you. Okay, Alice, go ahead.
What about an assisted living facility?
As long as it falls within an assisted living facility, if it's being sold as a business and the monies that it generates are being calculated as part of the remuneration to the seller, the answer would be no if it's being sold as a business. If it's being sold as the real estate, the answer then would be absolutely yes. The only thing that we can't count is the income from the building itself and the value of the building.
I can't talk right now.
Doing the real estate, we're not doing the business.
Okay.
So if somebody had a $1 million assisted living facility and they were selling it for $1 million, we could absolutely do it.
Hey, Frank, this is Jeff. If I understand right, the property does have to appraise at the selling price or less, or it's a no deal.
That's correct. That's absolutely correct. If they
Or
can't,
the buyer would have to come up with more money.
well, now that would have been an alternative, and that alternative is definitely a yes. But we're going to do an appraisal on the building. Now, you can't say that I've got a $2 million building and I'm going to sell it for $1 million. Therefore, I've got 50% equity. No. What we're going to do is, well, a trick question is, what is the value of a building? That's a trick question. And the value of a building is whatever somebody will pay for it. Not necessarily what the appraiser says it's worth. Absolutely not what the seller says it's worth. It's what somebody is willing to pay for it. So if they had a $2 million building they think, but somebody is willing to buy it for $1 million, the CLTV program works on the 1 million price tag, not the 2 million price tag. Any other questions? These are
What
good questions, by the way.
what about land? It always comes up.
It always comes up. I had somebody to hit me yesterday with 850 acres of land and some of these beautiful buildings. It was a country club, and my answer is always going to be the same. We're going to fund the country club building and 5 acres surrounding it. That's
Right.
5 acres, and now we're gonna put the whole 850 acres on the deal, but we're only going to calculate the value of the country club and the 5 acres surrounding it. So if they default, we're going to take the country club and the 850 acres surrounding it.
Okay.
Even though we're only valuing the 5. Great questions, guys. Fantastic
Trying to
questions.
think of all the ones that have been asked in the past.
Okay. All right. Well, these are good questions. All right. If there's no more questions, I'm going to go ahead and truck on. Last call. All right. Going to move forward. So this is a no-doc loan. No documentation. That means everyone gets approved. If you're living in your car, if you don't have a job, if you don't have any bank statements, no matter what, you're going to get approved for this 50%, for this 100% CLTV loan. On your first deal, I'm going to talk to you about getting paid. On your first deal, you will get your regular commission. So let's say that's $5,000 on the deal. As a bonus, you will also get a second paycheck of a matching $5,000. Because we're now going from acquisition, stabilization to permanent loan, you'll get a third paycheck on the same property after the property is stabilized and is cash flowing. This time, the check will be much bigger than $5,000 because the building will be worth more when it's actually up and running and cash flowing. And
You mean
thanks
that-
to,
You mean that is if they get another loan?
this is a different loan. This is another one.
Okay.
This will be the third paycheck on the same building. Okay, but it is definitely another loan, and there are qualifications to this third loan. They're still very lax. They're very lax. Much easier to do a refi than it is to do a new purchase. And then I want to give a special thanks to Gary S., who I didn't get his permission, so I'm not using his last name, but many of you guys know him. He's been on many of the calls with us. We'll be getting ourselves in front of real estate gurus who teach hundreds of hungry real estate wannabe investors at a time. And so Sam Merrill is one that absolutely fills a room with want to be real estate investors. There are many, 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 many gurus out there. You can easily find them on the internet by Googling them. If you ask any of those gurus about the what if questions, the first thing you're going to say is, you're out of your mind. Nobody on the planet is doing that. And then you answer them by saying, yes, I know, nobody does that sort of thing, but we do. We would like to have our fearless leader, Fearless Frank, come and do a presentation in front of one of your seminars. They have seminars all over the country where they have anywhere from 20 to 2,000 people in attendance. and I used to do the seminar circuit, I would be more than happy to get out there and talk and present this for you. And you can man the tables at the back of the room. And you can take the write-ups, you can get the deals, and you can get all the pre-quals done. So this is a win-win for everyone. The buyer buys the building, the seller sells the building, and we get paid. Submit your deals in the agent portal under the input leads tab. Be very, very specific about the description and what you're trying to do.
All right.
Get with your dedicated underwriter to work out the details of your deals, and always in every presentation,
All right.
always end every presentation with the following call to action. Remember, our associates are at the back of the room waiting to get you pre-qualified. Act now. And with that, I'm going to say thank you, and no pressure at all. I was able to do this 5 minutes before presentation time, and I ended 5 minutes.
Who's that, Mercury?
Frank, one more question from Judy.
You get as many questions as you want for the next 5 or 10 minutes.
All right. I have a client that I know very well who is helping to rehab Panama City, Mexico City area where Michael went through. And could he buy, and he's actually taking the houses and building them. So could he buy up a whole bunch of them and then redo them, sell them? I mean, this could be huge for the people that are rehabbing down there.
Yes, it could be absolutely huge. Larry, did you want to ask a question? That sounds like Larry in the background. Is that, are you trying to ask a question, Larry?
Thanks.
On the phone. Okay, well, that was my big question because he'll be back in my area today and I'm going to present this to him.
Yes.
Wow.
He could do multiple properties, and if you're saying that he is taking, say what you said, I'm not sure. If it was
He's
that.
taking homes that have been damaged and fixing them up again and selling them. So he's buying the homes that are unlivable, making them livable again, and then renting or selling them. Okay.
Now here's a wonderful thing that he might, you know, if he's a humanitarian, he might love what I'm about to say. If he does what you just said, takes possession of the home, fixes it up, and leases it, he could lease it back to the very person who lived in it previously.
Yeah, I'll suggest that to him.
It would no longer be an owner-occupied home.
Right.
It would be a leased home, and until the client got themselves on their feet, they could live in their own home, and then get their own mortgage in a year or whenever they've
yeah. Wow. Yeah, and he's very humanitarian. He comes in lower than most anybody down there that's trying to rehab. He is not ripping the people off.
Okay, great.
Cool.
Question, Frank. Clinton, Houston.
Hey, Clinton.
How you doing?
Fantastic.
Question on the LTV. Now, once we get that done, it's also based on them doing a second if need be, right?
No, not based on anything. If they, okay, I'm sorry. You're asking the mechanics of the 100% CLTV.
Correct.
The 100% CLTV, the letter C in CLTV stands for combined loan to value. The way this 100% CLTV program works is if you found a property that's a distressed property and it needs to be sold, and for whatever reason, a million reasons, whatever reason, it can't be sold, the seller takes back a 50% owner financing. We put up 50% of the cash is a $2 million valued property and the person's willing to pay $2 million for it, we would put up 1 million. The owner finance 1 million for 12 to 24 months. In other words, match our terms. And then after that, the person who bought it could refi and pay off both of us.
Okay, okay. Now, what if the property, you say distressed, what if there's arrearages on the distressed property?
If there are arrearages, those have to be paid off in the program, and that would be deducted from the amount of money. If we're putting up 1 million, the arrearages would have to be paid off. But that's really sticky. What kind of arrearages are you talking about?
Late pays, yeah, late pays that they're, maybe having $15,000 in order to reinstate because it's a distressed property. Are you talking about that type of distress or a property just been damaged?
Well, I wasn't condemned property. I'm just talking about, let's say somebody had a piece of property that they didn't want. Maybe it was inherited. Maybe
Okay.
they live in California and the property's up northeast and they don't want it. Then those people could market the property for owner financing 50%, and we'd put up 50%. And if it was a $2 million property, they have $1 million in their hand right now today within 7 to 10 business days. We are running out of time. I'm just letting you know we have to cut off. We're running right at the end of our time, so I don't want to be abrupt answers. If there's any other questions, I will answer them as long as we have time. Okay. All right. And I didn't mean to scare anyone off. It's just we've got so many minutes, and we're already past that time. I'm kind of surprised that it didn't pop up and tell me I passed it. So anyway, with this 100% CLTV program, I hope that you go out, circulate. You gotta, if you want to percolate, you got to circulate. So go out there and circulate around, get the word out to as many people as possible. Get before RIA groups, get before real estate agents, get before real estate gurus. Look them up. They love to have people like me talk and explain how their students can get 100% financing. They're gonna grab it as if it was their own idea, but I don't care. It can be their idea if they want, but and then they're gonna teach it as if it was their own idea. That's okay with me, as long as you get paid. That's all I care about. Like Larry said earlier, I want you to be paid. And with that, if there's no further questions, I'm going to bid everyone a great lunch, great afternoon, and thank you for being with us.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Frank.
Frank.
All right.
Thank you, Frank.
All right.
Thanks, Frank.
Bye now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Frank.
Michelle was probably on the call.